have a few questions for you before I start my presentation. Have you ever used a pair of headphones? Or have you ever ridden in a car? These questions may seem silly, but did you know that an engineer designed and tested those headphones? And the car you rode in had tires designed by an engineer? This leads me into my career of choice, being a mechanical engineer.
My name is Navay Anandaraja, and I'm a mechanical engineer for Alloy Product Development. Me specifically, I work with the 3D geometry and the design. So this product is the one that I most recently worked on. It's the new Studio headphone by Beats by Dre. After the concept generation, we figure out exactly what's the best way to put that together that achieves all of these constraints that we have. One thing that we always talk about is how's it going to look like when it's on the head? With this headband alone, I've probably made 30 different prototypes. And then in terms of just like on my computer, how many different versions, it's hundreds. I don't even want to think about it. The application that we use the most is CAD, computer-aided design. So it's like creating 3D geometry on your computer. Then taking these prototypes, testing them, breaking them, figuring out where the faults are, we iterate and do more prototypes. So this phase sort of constantly goes throughout almost the entire development cycle until you've completely finalized the product. What I have to do is just sort of go in here and then modify these parts by hands. I know a lot of people here like bike riding and skateboarding and stuff like that, and connecting the physics to, that actual hobby that you have gets you excited to learn. In high school, I'd like to tinker with stuff, do some soldering and a little bit of woodworking here and there. Throughout college, I didn't know exactly what in mechanical engineering I wanted to do. But, I found myself drawn towards user experience and sort of the design process because of the creativity. I did an internship, which I found was too large of a company, and then I did an internship at a small design firm, which was like 2 people, and then this is sort of where I came after school, which was like a 20-person consultancy, where it's small enough where everyone has a say and it's a flat hierarchy, so it doesn't feel like you're trying to climb a corporate ladder, but at the same time, there's lots of people that you can learn from and get inspired from. I actually got this job by going door to door and knocking on every single door and, just slipping my portfolio under the door until, someone finally gave me an interview. Through persistence and constantly trying, I got an internship, which turned into a full-time hire, which turned into a really great relationship. 4 years later, this is where I'm at.
Merriam-Webster's definition of engineering is a person who carries through an enterprise by skillful or artful contrivance. In other words, an engineer is an individual that takes part in the design, manufacture, and testing of a product. So why I chose mechanical engineering? My classes in school that came easy to me and interested me included math and science. This led me in the direction of engineering. In my free time, I tinker and research different things that include engines and electrical components of toys and such. During many of the English classes in school, I took career clusters that helped you choose your career based on interests. Due to my interests in math, science, and problem solving, I matched with careers in engineering. An influence on my decision to become an engineer is not only based on my interests, but also by my father. He's an electrician, but he has the mindset of an engineer, and his mentality toward things has influenced my decision a bit. In my search for more information on the field of engineering, I was able to take part in 3 job shadowing experiences. The companies that I shadowed were Cooper Tire in Findlay, Midmark in Versailles, and General Dynamics in Lima. During these job shadows, I met many very talented engineers, and I learned what a job for an engineer would consist of. Some important parts that I learned was that an engineer has their hand in the start of a project until the very end. Engineers take part in the planning and designing process for products. They then move with the product as it is transferred to other departments for testing in production. This kind of control over a product is one thing that I learned about being an engineer. This really interested me because I like the idea of me being able to take an idea in my head, design it, and then see it as a final product. Other things that I learned during these job shadows included the teamwork aspect to this career. I was able to get a first-hand look at how, even though it may be an idea I had for a product, I don't know how everything will play out. This is where communication between individuals in different areas of expertise comes in. This is how an idea becomes a reality and is done to the best ability. I was able to witness this at Cooper Tire as I shadowed an engineer who designed a new tire tread design. He showed me how his design on the computer moved to the lab where he talked to chemists to figure out the correct rubber mixture for it. He then showed me how it went out to the plant to be mixed and produced. After it's produced, the prototype is then put under extreme testing conditions until it shows flaws, which flaws will show up because almost every time the first design is not the best. The information is then collected and it goes back to the computer where the whole process starts over until it is as good as it can be. Going into these job shadows, I was a little nervous because my prior knowledge on engineering was very limited. And even though tests told me this is a good field for me, I wasn't sure. And after the job shadows though, I feel very confident in my decision to pursue a career in engineering. So mechanical engineering. Now that I had set my mind to the field of engineering, I ran into another problem. There are lots of disciplines of engineering. There are chemical, electrical, petroleum, aerospace, mechanical, and many more. Luckily, during my job shadowing experience, I shadowed chemical, manufacturing, mechanical, and electrical engineers. I have decided to set my major as a mechanical engineer. This is due to the fact that mechanical engineers are the jack of all trades, quoting an engineer I shadowed. This discipline is one of the broadest in the engineering field. You can learn principles in chemical and electrical engineering as well as mechanical. This allows for an opportunity to get into more jobs than a degree in other disciplines would allow. I'm not sure where I want to work yet, so to have options sounds very appealing to me. So my next step in gaining knowledge and training for this career is to get a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I have chosen Ohio Northern University in Ada, Ohio to do this. I visited many schools, including University of Dayton, The Ohio State University, University of Cincinnati, and Wright State, to name a few. They were all very nice schools, but I decided I didn't want to be just a number in a classroom. I wanted to be able to know my teachers, and in turn, them knowing me. This led me to ONU, where the school is not huge, but it is not small, and the School of Engineering is a focus there. The program is highly accredited for being a tough course, but I want to be the best engineer I can be, so this really drew me to the school. After meeting the professors, they seem very knowledgeable, and they have many connections to the job force, and a high job placement rate. My degree will take me 5 years to complete, as they make it a point for students after their third year to take a year off of school to work in their field. So goals. I have many goals for my career, but some short-term goals include getting a job before I graduate. I want to work at a company where there is a good group of experienced engineers, so I can continue my education and learn the tricks of the trade. The advice to work somewhere with experienced individuals actually came from my father, as he has seen firsthand what bringing many fresh graduates together leads to. It is not that they do not know what they are doing, but to have a veteran in the field gives you a mentor and someone to learn and ask advice from. This then leads to doing a better job overall. A long-term goal that I've set is to advance in my field to a head engineer status so that I can lead and direct projects. The career project. The career project was extremely valuable to me. The requirements to get a job shadow completed forced me to really look at what I wanted to do with my life, and now I have got a head start on my career planning. This makes all of my decisions after this point to be more confident because I know what I want to achieve, and I know how to get there. I have laid out a plan for each step along the way, and it is very comforting to have a plan. After many steps, I feel very confident in my decision to become a mechanical engineer. Through my research and the very fortunate opportunity to job shadow so many companies, I feel very prepared to move on to the next steps in my life. My parents have been very supportive through this whole ordeal, and they have offered me many pieces of advice and given me their opinions. They support my decision, and that makes me feel very good.